Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be talking about Tottenham's 2-1 defeat at Villa Park. We're now out of the FA Cup, out of two domestic cup competitions in the matter of 4 days, losing, of course, at Liverpool on Thursday in the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg and losing this evening away at Villa in the FA Cup. The trophy drought continues. Now, it was Aston Villa 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1, Jacob Ramsey putting Villa 1-0 up after just 58 seconds. Rodgers making it 2-0 after 64 minutes. And Tel grabbing Tottenham's only goal of the game in the 91st minute. The match facts and stats here. Aston Villa with 51.5% of the ball to Tottenham's 48.5%. Aston Villa having 16 shots, Tottenham Hotspur having 11. Shots on target, Aston Villa 7 to Tottenham's 5. Total touches inside the box, Aston Villa 34, Tottenham 17. Goalkeeper saves, Aston Villa 4, Tottenham Hotspur 5. Fouls, Villa 11, Spurs 17. And corners, Villa 4, Tottenham Hotspur 5. Now, and Postecoglou, straight after the game, has said the following. People can judge me, they can say I'm not good enough, but they can't be critical of these players during this time. They have been giving everything they can. There has got to be a better appreciation for what this small group of players have been doing. That is not an excuse. It shouldn't be seen that way through objective analysis, and anything else would be agenda driven. Once we get the rest of our players back in, we will be an outstanding team. As per usual, I've got three special guests with me. We've got actor Ricky Norwood back with us. Ricky, how are you?
I'm okay, my friend. You're echoing a bit. I don't know whether you can hear that. I just wanted to let you know that as you was giving us the stats and facts, that you was echoing a bit. So I don't know whether that's your feedback or anybody else's. But
it's usually somebody's volume's up too loud. Okay. I've got headphones on. I don't know if it's Holly.
Probably me. I haven't been on this for a while.
Holly, she comes back and starts creating havoc straight away.
She's got two massive speakers.
Well, firstly, it's good to be back on with you, gentlemen, and the beautiful Holly as well. It's been a while. Terrible, horrible, hurtful defeat today. A one that really punches in the gut. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it and break it all down and hopefully see what tomorrow brings. So let's jump in, man. Let's jump in.
We've also got channel regular Craig Dearman back with us. Craig, how are you?
Oh, bloody marvellous. Yeah, out of two cup competitions in a week. I actually thought of coming on here. I don't know what to say anymore. I kind of lost. I might need Ricky to fill in for me, or dub. I'll just move my mouth and Rick, you talk, because I just genuinely don't know what to say anymore.
Well, we know that Ricky will do most of the talking this evening. There's no worries there. We've also got Holly Clemens back with us. Holly, great to have you back with us. How are you? How's life been?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, I was just saying to you before the show started that I've not been on here for a while, so it's good to be back. But previously, when I used to come on the show, it was like I was some sort of good luck charm, and it was always talking about a win. And I mean, I knew that wasn't going to happen tonight. I was very realistic about the situation. So I feel like my normal positive energy has been left at the door, to be honest. And similar, echoing there what Craig's just said. This is going to feel a little bit more like therapy than anything else.
Yeah. Holly, before we get into the game itself, how are you feeling about Ange Postecoglou? Because I must say, when I come out the stadium, the amount of times that people stopped me and said, Chris, surely Ange Postecoglou has to go now. Surely this is his last game. Do you feel like that?
I think he's been given a lot more slack than a lot of other managers perhaps may not have got in recent times. And I'm a bit fed up of his attitude, and I think, you know, the quote there that you just read out, I mean, it's not as arrogant and ignorant as he normally would be about it. It's just the fact that he takes no accountability, and it really angers me, actually, because yeah, he can continue to hide behind the injuries, and of course that's a massive factor. It's arguably the biggest part of our downfall, but other teams are also being plagued by injury, and the manager's making much better tactical decisions. So at which point do you actually think, come on now, Ange, you need to, rather than being rude to reporters in press conferences who are asking what everyone's thinking, and that is their job. You know, I'm a journalist, and actually it irritates me when they're asking a very simple question and he just automatically flies off the handle at them and is just so incredibly rude. It's like, you're the captain of this ship, like, take some responsibility. I'm a bit fed up of him, actually. I had high hopes, but I'm getting to the point where I'm really kind of running out of patience, or if not, have already run out of patience.
Ricky, I know that you think very opposite to that, to Holly's opinion there about Ange Postecoglou, and you're very much behind him. Before we get into the game itself, I just want to say that the Aston Villa fans, when they were 2-0 up, they were singing "You're getting sacked" in the morning. And then just moments later, the Spurs fans were singing Mauricio Pochettino's name. Does that surprise you? How does that make you feel?
I think that's amazing. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be shouting Pochettino's name, and I think it's damning for Postecoglou as well. I just don't think that anything has changed, Chris. Over the last 2.5 months, nothing's changed. We've been in a really terrible position, and you know, like, everything has gone against us that could go against us. You know?
Is that not the point, though, Rick? That, like, these things have to change. The results cannot continue. Going out of 2 cup competitions in a week.
He has also adapted. I think the biggest change that's happened, Chris, is that we've come away from an Ange ball. We've come away from playing on the front foot. We've come away from attacking them. We ain't conceding goals because we're halfway out the pitch, and because we was attacking. We concede goals because we keep giving balls away in midfield, or every single time that we try and get a break, you know, we end up fouling and then giving the ball back to them. It's too many cheap balls. It's the glaring obvious thing that was in the summer that we was all screaming for was a number 6 or a monster midfielder that could, one, protect the back four, but also progress the ball forward. And especially after, you know, losing or selling Højbjerg, I was heavily expecting a midfielder that could do that job to come in to help play the Postecoglou way. You know, I think that the biggest glaring problems here, you know, stem from the top, because I don't think that this squad was capable, if everybody was fully fit, to take on all competitions, you know, 3 cups and the Premiership. I don't think we was built to kind of go and compete in all 4 to begin with. I think we started short, and I think that there's been a massive, you know, like, we've had no luck at all. You know, we're not just talking about performances on pitch. We've had players go missing when everybody's been fit. You know, and sometimes it is on a certain group of players that, you know, might go missing in certain games, you know, of the seniors. So we've had massive problems, and we've needed everything to be perfect for us to try and pull together and get a win. And it's not been happening. And, you know, we've had a defender come in and a striker come in, and straight away we lose a defender to an ACL, you know, and in that game, you know, he was rested first half. Van de Ven comes in, you know, he comes on for the second half, 10, 15 minutes, and it had nothing to do with a muscle. It had nothing to do with a challenge. It was an awkward jump, and straight away he tweaked his knee, and now he's out. So we bring in a totally new defender who's hardly had any training to understand the high line, or to how we actually start to defend right now. He's come in, and we've got to start from scratch with him again. You know, same with Tel. You know, he comes in to be an option and to be relief and to compete up there, and straight away we lose Richarlison. So we've had the worst bad luck and the worst juju going, mate. Like, I've never seen it before. And I'm not just here being a delusional fan that is just backing Postecoglou. What I'm saying is that I see and I understand and have empathy for the situation that he's going through. It's exactly the same 12, 13 players that have been going through this. Every time we get one back, we lose another two. You know, you look at Aston Villa, right? You look at Aston Villa and Aston Villa's board, and they have built steadily and they have built right. And everything that Jermaine Defoe and Joe Hart spoke about in the studio afterwards, we was watching BBC over in the UK. Everything that they spoke about when they were speaking about Aston Villa was everything that we didn't have. You know, we knew we needed experience, not just players. We needed some type of experience to come in to this side in January. Didn't happen. You know, Aston Villa go and get Asensio, they go and get Rashford, they go and get Marlin. Marlin is a great one. Somebody who's got Champions League experience, somebody who's been to international, somebody who could have helped us up there. Do you know what I mean? You know, we didn't go and do these things. You know, we continue to leave ourselves short, and we continue to leave managers out there to dry. And that's why I'm still sticking with the manager, because I'm like, something has to change. And I'm not talking about management again. If he lasts till the summer and we all reassess in the summer and figure out that he's not the guy, then okay. But I see the situation. I see what he's going through. I see the same questions being asked. I see the same things being poked at. You know, Holly, you speak about journalism, you know, against Liverpool. In that press conference, four journalists asking the same questions about changing, if he was going to change the way that he was going to play to win against Liverpool. Then another one right before the start of the game asked him, are you going to change your tactics to just try and get over the line, to just try and hold your lead and try and win this game? And he came out with the same thing, which is what he wants to go out there and win the football match. And these type of things, like, are you going to change? Are you going to change? It's the same question that he's been asked. Are you going to change? So when he has adapted, and he has, we're in the top 4 of teams in the Premier League that have tweaked or changed system to try and adapt to a situation. It hasn't worked. The biggest failing right now is that we've come away from manageable. We've come away from attacking. We've come away from playing without fear. Right now, we're playing with fear. You can see that midfield today was disgusting. They all went missing. They all went missing. They all went hiding. They wasn't there. There was no movement. They were playing with fear, and they were playing with the same slap in the faces that they've got for the last 2.5 months. They just keep getting slapped in the face.
But that's down to the manager.
Say again?
That's down to the manager.
What's that? That they keep getting slapped in the face?
How long can you keep accepting that?
It's not. Go on.
How long can you keep accepting the results, though, Ricky? That's the problem. The results, because
I'm not accepting the results.
Okay, if we lose to Manchester United, if we lose to Manchester United next weekend,
every single game that he's had has been a pressurized. If he doesn't win this one, he's gonna get the sack. It's been like that for the last 3-4 months, bro. It's been like that since the beginning of the season. There were people that wanted him out after Leicester, you know. So it's been that way the whole time.
But how long? I know I get your opinions and I understand them, but you know, with respect, I think that the results are the main thing here. We've gone out of 2 cup competitions. Yeah. If we lose that game against Manchester United next weekend, then for you, should Ange Postecoglou go? Because these results cannot continue this way. And how long can a fan like yourself keep saying, well, we've got injuries, it's just the way it is?
But what? Tell me what manager's going to change the scenario that we've got here, Chris? I'm resigned to the fact that this is where we are right now. I'm resigned to the fact that we have been playing relegation style football, and it's not something that I'm accepting. It's not something that I'm defending. You know, of course I want more. Of course I want a reaction. Of course I want us to go out there and win. Of course this is unacceptable. Of course this is hurtful. I'm not just speaking for speaking's sake. You know, I maybe it's because I grew up having to defend my team in school all the time. Do you know what I mean? When I was growing up, we was in this situation all the time. I've got resigned to the fact that, you know, you've got to look at the scenario and kind of go, okay, cool.
Ricky,
today
I
the bubble
understand
burst.
that.
Today the bubble burst. For that group of players, today the bubble burst. You could see it in their body language when they came out in the tunnel, that they were still feeling humiliated after Liverpool. They felt humiliated after Liverpool. And yes, they should have. Yes, they're professional players. They should have woke up and kind of gone what we all wanted them to do, which was kind of go and put a performance that goes, all right, look, we're here. We're going to show a response. But they just got slapped again within the first minute, and that was it. They were like, they went within their shells. And I'm not accepting that. I'm not saying that that's acceptable. I'm not saying that I'm defending that. I'm not. No. I'm just trying to explain from an objective point of view. I'm trying to explain what I think has been happening.
Yeah. So can I just ask you very quickly? So what will be your breaking point? You personally, what will be your breaking point with Ange Postecoglou? Because we face Manchester United next, then we've got Ipswich, then we've got Manchester City. If we lose all three of those matches, are you then going to be saying, well, we've got injuries?
If the situation stays the same, then my answer will stay the same. Nothing has changed, Chris, is my point. So nothing has changed.
So you still be saying the same after 3 defeats in the Premier League after this?
Okay, so Chris, let's sack him. Sack him. Tell me what's changing tomorrow, mate. Tell me what Sam Allardyce is going to do tomorrow. What's he going to do? Tell me what he's going to do different.
Yeah.
Tell me what he's going to do with a Basuma that Conte left out of the side for a reason. We bought him. We bought him as the Premiership. I remember arguing on this, this same platform, going, "Why ain't Basuma starting? We've just bought him. He's been player of the season. He was best midfielder in the Premier League last season." And then Conte didn't want to play him. Maybe it was because of the inconsistencies. We've had a Bentancur that's come back from an ACL that can't really get into it. So he's been in and out. He was anonymous as our senior player. The second half we saw some fight and we saw a bit of a reaction, but it was too late. Sonny's on a decline, running himself. He should have been rested, dropped a couple of games ago and then brought in, but we can't afford to do that right now. There's a lot going on. I'm not accepting anything. If you believe that he should go, then yeah, cool. I can't argue against you because results are the thing, like you say, that matter at the end of the day. And I can't argue against that. He wouldn't argue against it.
I just feel, Ricky, that a lot of fans were holding their hopes on winning a cup. Of course, we've got the Europa League. Fair enough, we've got the Europa League. And Postecoglou has said, whether people like it or not, he's come out and said a number of times, I'll always win a trophy in my second season. The Europa League is the only one now. We're sitting 14th in the Premier League table. We're not used to being 14th in the Premier League, all the Spurs fans. And yet the trophy drought continues domestically. No League Cup, no FA Cup. It's very, very disappointing, especially going out of 2 cup competitions in the matter of 4 days and in the manner that we have done so. I get that Ange Postecoglou is defending these players again. And I honestly, Ricky, I don't have the answer either. I have stuck by Ange Postecoglou throughout, and I really, really do want it to work for him. But the results just cannot continue in this way. The performances cannot continue in this way. And I completely agree with Holly. No matter how many injuries you've got, sometimes you just have to get the job done. Other Premier League managers have done it year in, year out. How many Premier League managers have we seen, suffer injuries? Yes, we've got a lot of injuries. I get all of that. But sometimes, you just need to grind these results out, in some way. I get the frustration. And it's so funny because half the people I've bumped into today and spoke about Spurs, half of them want Ange to stay. Half of them don't want Ange to stay. Then you go in the stadium and, the Villa fans are singing, you get sacked in the morning. Then some of the Spurs fan base are singing about Mauricio Pochettino. Wow, I couldn't believe it. Some of them
same fans, bro, wanted Pochettino out. Some of them same fans didn't give Pochettino the same type of credit, when we went out in domestic trophies.
Yes.
I'm just saying. Just saying. Do you know what I mean? Like, balance is key. Some of them, so the same fans didn't want to hear it last year when we were speaking about Pochettino, and then he ended up going Chelsea, and then for some fans that was it as well. I love Pochettino. Like, it's the only manager that I've loved. Do you know what I mean? Like, with my heart, I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy. Do you know what I mean? Where he took us from, the things that he had to face, Wembley, transfers, no transfers. Do you know what I mean? But the same things happened. Look at Aston Villa right now. Now that they are on top, this January, they brought in experience to level them up. Their two young players came out after the game and they spoke about Asensio and Rashford coming in and Marlon coming in and that upping the level for them in training.
Yeah.
When have we had that, mate?
Well,
when has that happened when we've been on top, that we've used our position to get the better player or to increase that level?
Yeah.
It's never happened. We've gone down a different route. We're going down a different route. We're starting from scratch with kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. On the training, Andrew said a couple of times recently, hasn't he, that some of the journalists could do the Spurs training at the moment, the way that they've been training. It's funny because the amount of times we said on this podcast, the amount of times during the fan shows as well, that a lot of people are saying about the intense training sessions. I actually think it's the other way round. I don't think that the players are training hard enough at the moment. Whether you agree with that is another thing, but that's my opinion. Craig, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on the game today.
I just thought it was bloody awful again, to be honest with you. I'm just sick of it now. Absolutely sick of it. Bit better in the second half, but overall that first half was disgusting again. Horrific start. Goalkeeping error. Obviously, Kinski will be very upset with that. He should be saving that all day. But to be fair to Kinski, kept us in the game at certain points. It's a goalkeeping error. My son's a goalie. If you make a mistake, generally it leads to the goal. Whereas if a striker miscontrols it, doesn't matter. Keeper makes a mistake. It was just one of those things. Joe Hart said when he on the post-match sort of chat in the studio, he was talking through it, and it's just one of them things that happens. A keeper should be stopping that, of course, but not the most ideal start. I just didn't see any passion again. I mean, it looked like half the players hadn't played together. That midfield was just atrocious again. I think that's a massive, massive problem for us. We got problems everywhere at the moment. Of course we have, but that midfield just was non-existent. There were holes everywhere. It was like a sieve. I thought Danso actually played pretty well. I thought Archie Gray was okay, made a couple of errors, but on the whole, not many players come out with it with much credit. I thought Tel was okay. I thought he looked better through the middle. I don't know why Postecoglou went with him on the left. I was shocked at that. Sonny is not a centre forward. We all know that. Why is Sonny through the middle? We cannot play that centre forward role. And it's proved that when he went out to the left, Tel played that role a lot better. But we are rudderless at the moment, absolutely rudderless. Ange looks absolutely lost. He looks like a defeated man. He looks like every single Spurs manager has looked in the last 7-8 managers when it's coming to the end of their tenure. And I wanted it to work for him. I desperately wanted it to work for him. I still want it to work for him, but I don't see how his position is. He's still going to be tenable really for much longer, because, like Holly said, that you can kind of overlook the way he speaks to journalists and how he's so contrary in press conferences when we're winning. I get that, but it's just everything's changed. His attitude's changed. I get he's under pressure. He's under tons of pressure, and he'll be feeling that, and he'll want this to work more than anybody. But it's just not working. But agreeing with Ricky, I'm not quite sure what he can do differently. I'm not quite all right in match tactics and that little switch with Son. They're little things. He hasn't got a massive choice of players. You've only got to look at our bench today, and that is a fact. You cannot change that. That is fact. Regardless of how we got those injuries, whether it be training, whatever, our injury list this season has been ridiculous. So I'm not sure. You bring another manager in now, I'm not sure what changes.
I suppose the question is then, Craig, for the board right now, is if we bring another manager in, are they going to get more out of these players, and are they going to get better results than what we're getting at the moment? What do you think?
That's not the question. That's not the question. That's not the question.
That's the question I'm asking.
The board have to ask the rest of the board if they're ever going to step up to the plate where they want to win something.
No, but that's the question I'm asking.
Say it again.
That's the question I'm asking.
No. Okay, go on, crack on.
What do you? Go on, Rick. Come back. What did you mean?
What was the question? what did you ask?
Ricky, come back. Tell me exactly what you meant.
You was talking about another manager, and it's not about another manager. It's about whether that board are ever going to step up and decide that they want to win something, and actually give us a competing squad, and actually then go and get a manager that can go and do that. But the way that they've treated managers, the history suggests that is never going to happen. We've brought in full on, fundamental, everywhere they go, winners. And what has happened every single time? We've had this same argument that they haven't given them the tools. Again, what they said in the BBC studios was, Aston Villa, what they've done is given the manager the tools to go and compete. And they've got injuries, but yet they've got the tools to go and compete in so many different areas. When it comes to experience, when it comes to winning things, they've just brought in a Champions League winner that's won it 3 times. That it's not so much on the field. Yeah, he's going to be great on the field, but off the field with those young ones, he's going to teach them about winning a game. He's going to teach them, same as Martinez does, slow the game down again, to see it out, to da-da-da-da-da. We've got Kinski in there, who's been ripped to shreds in the last couple of weeks, and he's just got here. And maybe he was, you could see how nervous he was in those. I didn't believe that was the same keeper we signed. I was like, what happened here? So it's not so much about what the board are going to do for the manager. It's about what the board decide that they want to do with the rest of them. Start holding the rest of them accountable and say, are you a man of your word? Are you going to back what you say in this room once you leave this room? Because that side of things has not changed. That side of things is the thing we're looking at, and this is the reason that we're in this position today, where we've had to rip the whole garden up to redesign this garden. We've had to, we can't use the same existing grass. We've got to rip that up. We've got to dig it over and start again. And this is where Postecoglou is. He's at the root end of this type of rebuild, and he's the only one that wanted to do it. He was the only one that wanted to do it under these circumstances, under these wage budget, under this, the transfer budget. He was the only one. So the board ain't about a manager. It's not about what another manager can bring. It's about what the board can bring to the manager and back in their own chat. Yeah,
I'm sorry. You either misheard me or I didn't explain it very well. But what I said is that the board at the moment, where they are at, they will probably think, can we get another manager in now who will get better out of these players right now, or will get better results than Postecoglou? And we've seen this many times. And, we've spoken on this channel many times, over the years of how we've gone round in circles and how we've had all these different managers. And I feel like I've got a headache with it. And I said earlier to someone that, do you know what? When you appoint, you've gone through all these managers, 7 different managers, including Pochettino, right now through to Postecoglou, from 2019 now to 2025. 7 different managers in the dugout. Now, where on earth Spurs can go next? And I tell you where Spurs can go next, where the board could go next, and that is bringing Pochettino back. I think that is the only ace up their sleeve that they do have left. I can't see that they do anything else. Whether that is the right decision or not, that's another thing. I feel like we could do a whole different show on that itself. But Craig, in answer to that question, do you think that the board will make that decision from now until the end of the season? Because like I've just said to Ricky, football is a results-led business. Whether we all like it or not, or whether we all like Ange Postecoglou or we don't, or whether we want him in or out, whatever, it's a results-led business. The results in the Premier League haven't been good enough for a team like Spurs, particularly when I think it's fair to say he has been backed in transfer windows. Yes, I get all of the excuses, if that is the right word to use, about all of the injuries. I get it. I completely understand it. I'm with it. But at the end of the day, it's still a results-led business. How long can this go on for? And when so many fans thought, okay, it doesn't really matter about the Premier League, because how many years have people been saying, I'd rather finish mid-table if we win an FA Cup or a League Cup? Well, of course, we're out of both in the matter of 4 days. It hurts.
Yeah, it does. I think it becomes worse if our position in the Premier League becomes a risk. If it becomes a risk that we're going to be relegated, which some would argue we're in a relegation battle at the moment. So whether they act or not before the end of the season, I genuinely don't know. What I would like to see happen now, if they're going to get rid of Ange, bringing Harry Redknapp till the end of the season on an interim basis, then I think the board should put the club up for sale. They should go, and we should bring back Pochettino and pay him whatever, or America wants to pay him off. Just get him. Just go and get him. Everybody is available for the right price, and that the money issue, that is the one thing that this board have never done. They have never, ever backed a manager properly. They've never paid that few quid extra to get the players we want. I could rattle them off. We all know them. Through Grealish, through Vinicius, all these players that we've been linked with over the years, they've never, ever paid top dollar, and they've never gone out and got the players. Regardless, I don't care. These videos you see at the end of the transfer window wrap videos, it's just a load of waffle. It's honestly, it bores me to tears. It's so sterilized. It's just a club interview. Nobody's asking the hard questions. You just get this edited video come out with just a load of waffle. I'm absolutely sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of this board underperforming, because that's what they're doing. They're underperforming. They're not giving manager after manager after manager a chance to succeed. They've all been doing the job with their both hands tied behind their backs and one leg. It's absolutely disgusting. How do we let them get away with it? I'm not sure what we can do, but how do you it's unbelievable. The ineptness, the lack of, it's like, do they not want people to succeed? Have they not worked it out? What you need to do to get managers and teams to be successful? Christ almighty, they've been in post 20 odd years and nothing has changed other than we got a nice new stadium and training ground, and obviously in a better financial position. But what have we won? One League Cup, and that is it, because they've never ever been willing to push on.
Do you know what might be different this time? They might actually give a manager time.
They might do, but are they giving him the tools to do the job? And that's the thing, you're setting him up for failure if you're not giving him the players. I don't know where we go, but that's one thing I agree with you on, Chris. I think the only man the only man that would give them a bit of kudos and actually get them out of a hole and perhaps stop the singing, if that even bothers them, is getting Mauricio Pochettino back if they're going to get rid of Ange. I don't see what else can happen.
I've got to say, whilst at Villa Park, as soon as the fans started singing Pochettino's name, I was taken by surprise, big time. Craig, does it surprise
that wouldn't surprise me? No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because Pochettino is the one person that's given us all, he was loved, I would say, by a majority of fans right up until the end. 1990, I never heard, when we was, I know it's easy to say when you're doing well, the manager is always loved by all the fans. That's not always the case. Not every fan likes every manager, no matter how well you're doing. Remember, we hadn't won nothing. People had seen us improve. He'd obviously, the players have actually improved as footballers. We were actually in finals, semi-finals, didn't quite get over the line, but everybody loved Poch. I've never seen a team, and Rio Ferdinand said it in the commentary. I'm sure you've all watched it on the BT Sport video after the Champions League semi-final. Rio Ferdinand said it's moments like this that galvanise. I'm paraphrasing, but it's moments like this that galvanises teams and players and managers together, because they've been through something together that you can't recreate, and you cannot create that any other way by going through it. That's basically what he was saying. And the one man that's got that is Pochettino, who we all know had credit in the bank. He should have got longer. But again, he wasn't backed. And when he was backed, he wasn't backed with the right players, because we bought in Ndombele and Lo Celso, bad purchases. But he had more credit in the bank. He should have been given time, because if he'd been given those players when we should have held on to Dembele. We all know that in that January. I still think we would have done so much better if we held on to him. He is the man that can do it, and that still should be in post to this day, in my opinion.
Craig, I was going to say to you right then, what happened in January? Right? So look, that's that same season that we went to the final. Not only did, I can't even remember if we brought anybody in or if we strengthened, but the one thing that we did do was weaken ourselves by letting Musa go for a small piece of change, because
Ricky,
we could get a little bit of change. It's just...
We didn't spend a penny in 518 days. We didn't buy anyone in that January window. How many times have I said that?
No, but do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And we got rid of. Let's look at the problems. Like Aston Villa again. Holly, please get Holly in on something because I know.
I will when you stop talking.
Holes have been on for a couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's all coming out, girl. But you know, like they look in a position of strength. What Aston Villa are doing right now? What they're doing right now? Did they do that when we was in a position of strength? That last season was a struggle as well under Poch. We was going through a roller coaster where, again, we needed the refresh and we needed that backing and we needed what Pochettino needed. And did we do it? And now we expect Pochettino to come back and listen to lies again and be like hang out to dry. Like this manager's been hang out to dry. If you gave this manager the all of the tools to go to work, and then you criticize his work and you said, why is this building falling down? I'd be with you. I'd be like, but he's got the drill. He's got the spanner. He's got the everything that he needs to go and make this happen. But when you told a man to build the house with like, do you know what I mean? Crayons and Play-Doh. Do you know what I mean? How, when this building starts crumbling, I don't understand how anybody's surprised. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so this is the biggest frustration here is that we're breaking another manager and we're letting another manager be hung out to dry at this point in time. Do you know what I mean?
It might not happen, Ricky. As I said to Craig, he might be given what a lot of people haven't been given, and that is the time and the patience. And he might even be given the tools. We don't know. Let's wait and see. But going back to that Pochettino point, 518 days, as I say, on most most shows that we do. I don't think there'll be another manager in football history that is going to happen to where a manager takes a team to a Champions League final and not spending money in multiple transfer windows like that. Let me just say before we go to Holly, we're live on YouTube, X, Facebook and Twitch, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. We're going to get Holly in now.
Me.
Holly, let's get your thoughts on today's game and also what your expectations were going into this game, particularly after Thursday night.
Well, I would say my expectations were low, and we were chatting just before the show about how I watched the Plymouth-Liverpool game, and it was nice to watch an exciting game of football. Players with a little bit of confidence. And I'm from Plymouth, so I know right now that my home city will be absolutely bouncing, and I hope they're celebrating as they should. But I went from that to then watching Villa Spurs, and oh my God, I was just bored, Chris. And I know that what I said about Ange at the start of the show probably wasn't really that well received, but I trust me when I say I really did back him, and I have really backed him. I'm just at the point where, like Craig said, it's like, what point is this position untenable? But I will actually stop waffling about that now and start talking about the actual game, because we want to hear about that as well. So I think, we were definitely better in the second half, but still really just lacking confidence. And I think as well, like we've discussed just now, it is a matter of, their players must be so fed up and frustrated themselves. It's not a nice position for them to be in. But, Kinski, for example, kept us in that game. He knew he made a stupid error in the first half. And the poor lad, you got to feel for him as well. He arrived at a very difficult time, straight away thrown in the deep end. But it was just poor performance, really, really passive, really actually pedestrian. I really don't know what else there is to say, Chris, because I just feel completely downtrodden by it all. I'm normally when I used to come on the show, I used to be so positive. I don't know if it's just you caught me on a day where I'm in a bit of a mood, and I don't know. I normally always, no matter the game, kind of go into it thinking, now we'll go into this with a positive attitude. But I genuinely feel so worn down by it all. I'm already thinking about what the chat's going to be like at the water cooler in the office tomorrow. I don't know if I can face it.
Holly, let's stay with you. Matt says here, seriously, Chris, pull your head in. We were never going to get a result at Anfield or Villa Park today. Seriously, what do you expect with the same team every week? Now, Holly, let's stay with you and ask you this about Ange Postecoglou's comments in the press conference today. Once we get the rest of our players back in, we will be an outstanding team. do you still have that confidence with Postecoglou going forward when we are at full strength? Do you think that we can do big things under Ange?
I do think so. And again, I'm probably really contradicting myself here.
You didn't sound very confident.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a big contradiction, but I think I'm just fed
Are you
up
sure?
I'm just fed up with the whole setup, Chris. I mean, at the moment, it just feels like everything's a bit rotten to the core, and I do actually feel sorry for Ange to a certain degree. By which point, I'm still quite incredibly frustrated with him as a manager. I am at this point. That's the point I feel like I've been driven to, but it ultimately, I think, will just come down to the board. So I think that's the only way we're going to see real change. But at this point, it's like, is his position tenable? I just don't know anymore. But I mean, the body language on those players today, I mean, silly errors, silly mistakes, just like Craig said, midfield like a sieve. That's what I'm going to steal that one off you now. I'm going to use that for future, because I doubt that'll change on Saturday. But you know, I don't know, it's just a little bit embarrassing that we found ourselves in this position. And looking at the bench today, I don't really know what we could have done to make things better. But I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm a bit quiet today actually compared to what I'm normally like. I'm normally got loads of opinions, but I actually think I'm just pretty exhausted by it all.
It does that to you, Holly, though. It does. It does. No, you look like sound like Ian Beale.
I know. Well, yeah, I did. I channeled Ian Beale then, actually.
You must be Phil Mitchell then, Craig.
Feel like an alcoholic at present.
I remember when Holly was referred to as Mrs. Positive. You know, they used to be like, yes. When I used to be on with her before, it'd be like, yes, Mr. Positive and Mrs. Positive. We're gonna go out there. But Tottenham does that. It does. It breaks you, and that's almost where I am. Do you know what I mean? It does. It runs you through the ringer.
It wears you down massively.
It does.
It really does. Especially and how. By which point, when do you run out of that positivity where you kind of go, no, this is a new game, come on now? And I mean, we know what it's like. We can be so unpredictable that I think there always has to be part of you that thinks, okay, maybe this week we'll do it. But I've even run out of that now. That little bit of positive reserve that I had left, the reserve is empty, and I'm just running on fumes now, basically. And it's just all a little bit depressing. I mean, I think I used to say, when I used to listen to my dad go on, and I used to go, come on, Dad, now, that's not the attitude. But the older I'm getting, I'm turning into my father. But he's been a Spurs fan a lot longer than I have, so there you go.
Holly, positive?
How would you feel about him if he did win the Europa League and we finish where we finish right now?
I think that's where we are, though. You know, it's all eggs in one basket, because I don't think we're going to get relegated. You know, albeit that we're playing crap, I don't think we're getting relegated. So the only way we can qualify for Europe, and the only way we're going to win anything, is to win the Europa League. So all the eggs are going in that basket. But I can't see us winning it. But I'm just saying.
How would you feel if we done it?
I don't know
whether
be
this ecstatic.
To be talking about winning the Europa League.
No, I'm not talking about winning. I'm just saying, in Dreamland, you know, we're talking about. What I'm saying is that sometimes we always kind of focus on what's going to take us down. Do you know what I mean? And I totally get it. I totally get it. But like, how would you feel if this guy actually, after all of this, and we get our players back, and then we get our players back that are hurt and hungry for leaving us for so long, and we have this amazing run, and we go into Europe where there's a bit more, like they were saying in the studio today, there was a bit more kind of respect that's out there, and like, you know, there was a caller on actually with Barnaby, and I saw a glimpse of it before I came on tonight, and he was actually saying that sometimes in the Europa League that the team that are not doing that well in the league end up winning it. I think like Seville were like 16th or something when they won it. And in, you know, West Ham were having a bad season when they won the conference trophy or whatever that one's called. But you know what I mean? It's like, what if? I'm just saying, what if? How would you feel about Ange and the players and all of this if he did pull it out the bag?
It would be great, Rick, but for what you just said there are a lot of ifs. Do you know what?
But that's Tottenham.
Do you know what? I'd much rather be sitting next to you now having a brandy like you are, rather than sitting here feel like arguing with you about Spurs.
Do you know what? I said I wasn't going to drink as well, and then we started, and I just opened the bottle. I said, "Nah, this is going to be one of those." So.
This is what Tottenham is doing to us. You know, me and Ricky never have any mixed words, and I feel like these last few shows, Rick, we're disagreeing with a lot of stuff.
And that's okay. That's what it's doing to us. That's what it's doing to all of us. Like you said there, you asked one fan, that was Ange in. You asked the next fan, it was Ange out. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna. You know, I've seen. Did today the bubble burst for that core team that went out there, and I think that there was a part of that bubble being burst that they just had enough of just, you know, the last 2.5 months just grinding, and all their efforts not being rewarded, and then they'd get a reward, they'd get a little higher, and then the next one would be bashed in the face again, and they kept getting slapped. And they've been slapped by the media, and they've been slapped by reporters, and then they've been slapped on the radio and on Match of the Day, and then we'll come on, and then on the podcast they're getting slapped as well. And you know, I have seen the effort, and I have seen them believe in the Postecoglou way and back the manager, and that's why I back the players, and I still continue to back the manager. Even though today I felt that it just got to the point where the bubble burst, in the sense where everyone just went, "Oh man!" After the semi-final, I think all the eggs were in the basket for the semi-final. To be fair, I think something drastically went wrong with Mickey van der Ven, because I think that the reason that he got those minutes in Europe were to prepare him for Liverpool. I think that was the whole plan, to get him back in for Liverpool, and then suddenly we've gone. You can't tell, and then again it kind of falls back onto the board, is what I'm saying, is because you can't tell me that Langer is saying that January 1st they were ready to go, and they couldn't bring in Danzo. 1. Or 2, that Danzo was the #1 pick over Mark Gahey, who they want to go in and put in a 70 million bid for on the final day, which made no sense. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we have been bad for months, and it's been for the same period of time, right? It's been for the same period of time. It's what I've been saying.
Chris, you're a little menace. His face as he put that comment on screen, he was like this.
Well, we have to put all the comments on, whether they're positive or negative, Holly. We've got to have a bit of balance, haven't we?
Oh, 100%. But it's just, I love how you put that one up on screen while Ricky was being all hopeful and trying to, you know, you just had to humble him a little bit there, you know.
Yeah.
Holly,
I'm trying to shut me up, girl.
Holly, what positives do you take from this season? Because you know, we've seen the good performances from the likes of Jed Spence, who has been one of our outstanding performers over the last couple of weeks, it's fair to say. Archie Gray, of course, he's coming into his own. Lucas Bergvall, I feel like, has done really well. You know, what other positives do you take from this season so far?
I mean, I think, as you say, Archie Gray for me has been an absolute standout player. And I mean, he's so young. He's got such a bright future ahead. He's fantastic. He honestly is. He didn't have a great game today, but that's not to say that he won't. You know, that'll be the same every game. I've been really impressed with him, and also I think, and in the same way, Mikey Moore. Even, I mean, he's so young. He's obviously come up through the academy. It's been great to see him play in the first team. But I don't know. I think we have had some fantastic results, but I think the key point here is just that level of inconsistency. We can, you know, beat City and then get absolutely turned over the following week by the likes of Crystal Palace and Ipswich, and it's just, I mean, I don't know. I want the season to be over, Chris. I'm sorry, I do. I've had enough.
Holly, we're not winning the Europa League then, Holly, no?
Oh, look. It's the only little glimmer of hope that we have left that we'll win something, but we've got bigger fish to fry in terms of sorting the club out. So obviously I'm still, you know, and we've been all right in Europe. but I mean, again, we're not exactly convincing, is what I'll say with it. And I just look, trust me, I'm already looking at flights in May. You know, I'm already looking. I'm looking, but I'm not quite ready to just, you know, book them.
Where you going? Ibiza?
I wouldn't bother.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I definitely would have more fun there. I won't be as disappointed. No, I just think now we found ourselves in such turmoil with it, and I guess the start of the season we were playing with a lot more fight, and it was enjoyable football to watch. Now the only way I can sum it up, especially for today, is just boring. I'm just bored.
Yeah, it's I get exactly what you mean. Ricky, what has changed for you? That fast-paced attacking football. I know it is different players, but you know they're meant to be training in exactly the same way, moving the ball fast. You know, going back to that pre-season, those first 10 games under Ange Postecoglou to now, and I get the fact that we've got all of these injuries, but it's fair to say there are a lot of comments today in the comments section saying, well, we have played bad for months. We haven't played, you know, this way, you know, in the opening 10 games of last season. You know, why? What's changed?
I think that Ange just tried to adapt during this period of time. I know that doesn't fit the narrative that's been put out there by so many people, but I think he's tried to adapt and change with the personnel that he's got, and it hasn't worked. You know, you saw that against Everton when he tried to go to a back three, you know. You saw that when he done that, you know, when he went to a back three against Everton, and we got totally discombobulated. We got totally ripped to pieces in that moment. So everything that he does try and adapt to, and you look at the high line as well, how far that's come back as well, you know. So he has tried to adapt. He has tried to change with the personnel that he's got. We're sending out young players out there, and you saw today what experience against youth can do. You know, with all the exuberance of youth and with all the talent that youth brings and with all the daring that youth brings is a great thing, but they can be undone by a quick sidestep or a player's kind of, you know, fake and feints to kind of go one way and next. And you saw that a couple of times. But when you're playing with like super young players, 18-year-olds and stuff like that, you're going to get that. You're going to get bumpy roads. The one thing that I can say about those players as well is that going through this, well, I mean, it's a crazy thing to say, I know, but going through this, it will almost see them in good stead if they can get out the other end. If we can see the light at the end of the tunnel and start to build, then it could be great for these younger ones that are coming in right now. But it's just a really bad situation that we're in. And sometimes the same thing that happens with positive motivation and momentum is the same thing that happens with negative momentum. You know, if you get into a role of conceding and defeats and having that energy around you and having that energy, you know, on the backs of the players, and it can become a thing that it is tough to get out of. We need some leaders back in that side, and we need somebody to shake it up, and we need somebody to say, come on, who are we? Let's stand up. Do you know what I mean? But it's really tough. It's really tough because those players that have been playing for the last 2.5 months continue to get slapped in the face even when they do something good. You know, it's not too far away from it being negative again. So it is really, really, we're in a really, really tough position, Chris. And we needed more help in January. I think, you know, maybe we should speak about the kind of Langer interview that came out at the end of January when he spoke about the difficulties in January, which we all know. And then he spoke about Europa League and those being in Europe, the extra rounds, which meant that, you know, transfers happen later.
Yeah.
But on January 1st, he was ready to go. Now, okay, cool. We brought in Kinski real quick, which was, okay, good. That would have been great if another 2 players would have come in within the next 2 to 3 days. Didn't happen. Like I said about Danzo, I think Danzo we could have brought in early. I don't think there was a big kind of European dilemma with him. Mark Gahey, we could have brought him in early if you were serious about it, you know. And then we waited, and we saw in what state we was that we couldn't even get a player in on loan. We couldn't get a player in to fill the gaps, especially in defence. And then we get to the final weekend where we're heading up to deadline day. And even when Danzo came in, the way that it came in, because there was so much kind of vitriol and kind of noise against the board and against Levy, it almost felt like this was look, we've bought somebody. So I felt at that time, without knowing much about Danzo, I felt at that time it would have been a losing situation. It was a lose-lose situation. You know, even if he was on a list and we brought him in, it looks like we've panicked and we've gone, everybody else has rejected us. Everyone that we've gone in for that have high profile have said no to us. But so let's go and get the guy that he can say yes to. So it almost felt like a lose-lose situation. But okay, we brought in a defender, and then we go and bring in Tel. Now look, we could have got Douglas Luiz, right, on loan. We could have done that, but we didn't go and do that. That was a piece of experience, Premiership experience, European experience. Couldn't do that. We could have done so much more, but we didn't do it until the last moment. And this is what happens when that happens. You know, you don't let players settle in. You don't let players work into the team. And we end up in this scenario.
Yeah. Do you know what, Ricky? You and I need another trip away.
Please, let's do it.
Craig, let's get into it. We're almost an hour in and we've not even spoken about the actual game yet. So let's go 58 seconds in. Ramsey put in Aston Villa 1-0 up. What did you make of this? Because it was a very, very poor start from Spurs.
It wasn't a poor start. It was a shower of shit as usual. Look at the space.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back, Craig.
How can I even sugarcoat this? It was a crock, wasn't it? Look at the space. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, it was just crap. You know, all right, as I say, Kinski should have saved it or be disappointed, but Christ, what a start. It was. I just had to laugh, actually, at that point. Just had to laugh. I thought, here we go again. When is our luck going to change? But, yeah, just a really rubbish start, wasn't it? But, you know, I wasn't surprised. Gary just sent a load of laughing emojis, I remember, on the group, didn't he? Because I don't know what else you can do. It's just like, oh my God, you know, I don't know what to say about it. It was kind of, it was like typical Tottenham, wasn't it? You know, you get up, if we can get past Villa, we might get a favourable draw in the next round. Within a minute, we're a goal down. Bloody awful.
Craig, you mentioned it already about Kinski at fault for that goal. What have you made of him in a Spurs shirt so far? Of course, he had a very impressive debut against Liverpool in that semi-final first leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He's played a handful of games since in all competitions. When Vicario does come back, which is expected to be next week, it might even be the Manchester United game next weekend. Does Vicario walk straight back into this starting 11 for you?
I think he does. If Kinski had continued at the same level he showed on his debut, I think it would have been a case where Vicario would have had to perhaps fight his way back into the team. But I think at the moment, Kinski's just made a few errors. And I think Vicario will just probably come straight back into the team. Perhaps Kinski will get the Europa games. But yeah, I think Vicario probably comes back in. And it will. I think it will. I don't think the players are necessarily nervous with Kinski behind him because he's, as I say, I want to give him some credit. He did make some really good saves this evening, and he did keep the score down. Let's be honest. But I just think Vicario is probably going to come straight back in. Yeah.
Holly, let's come to you. Let's talk about that start that Spurs had, going 1-0 down after just 58 seconds. And then after 13 minutes, Garcia had a shot over the bar. Mallon with another shot over the bar a minute later. Bailey with an effort at the goalkeeper. Kinski, of course, saving a minute later. Tielemans just wide. Another chance for Aston Villa just wide. And then at this point, after 20 minutes or so, even the Spurs away end was singing, "We're effing shit," and then they were booing players. I tell you what, it's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? I know, we could laugh about it, but it's embarrassing after 20 minutes, losing that game at Liverpool on Thursday night. You go into a game like this, you expect, Spurs to be up for it, show that fight, going 1-0 down after just 58 seconds. And then all of those chances in the opening 20 minutes, it is fair to say Spurs could have been 3-4 down in the opening 20 minutes or so. Really, really frustrated away fan base inside the stadium today. And to be singing those sorts of songs and to be chanting about your team in such a way, it's not a great situation, is it, at the minute?
No, and I know I've been nearly negative. I know I've been nearly negative tonight, but I still do not agree with booing the players because that does not make a bad situation. That doesn't help the situation, does it? But we made silly mistakes, and I know it must be really hard for the fans that go home and away, and they spend all this money and time following, and then they're watching performances like this. I can't even begin to imagine how frustrating that must be. But yeah, we made silly mistakes. Kinski should have saved that first goal. I mean, 59 seconds into the game, that was just like my eyes just rolled back completely to the back of my head. I thought, not already. And then, Son should have scored, but would any of those things that could have changed the outcome for today's game? I don't think so. I think we were gonna lose. So that's my thought of that. And obviously we clawed one back, but obviously it wasn't going to be enough, was it, that late into the game? And I don't know why the hell Harry Kane was encouraging Tel to come over here. Not a very good mate, is he? Not a very good friend.
He's probably, next time he sees him, he'll do an in-between and sing. He'll punch him on the shoulder and go, "Bants."
Yeah. Oh, that time I sent you over there, that was funny, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You'd be absolutely fuming, wouldn't you?
Holly, let's stay with you. After 24 minutes, you mentioned there Heung-min Son, with that glorious opportunity. Mikey Moore, what a fantastic cross from him, by the way, so giving him a lot of credit. It was our first shot of the game. He could have hit it anywhere, hit it straight at the goalkeeper, Martinez. Very, very frustrating. Now, Heung-min Son has received a lot of criticism and sometimes abuse during this season, certainly. Spurs have activated the clause in his contract, keeping him here until at least next season. Are you happy with that decision, and what have you made of the criticism of Heung-min Son this season?
I will always love Son. I will always love him. And I don't know. Look, I know players go through peaks and troughs. And again, I've been sat here whining about Ange and all of that and saying, and everything. But when it comes to Son, I don't know. I just have such a soft spot for him, and he's got a place in my heart. I'll never give him the cold shoulder. I never will. I just love him, and I do just feel like we should be singing that he's one of our own, because at this point he's given us his career, the best years of his career. He's not won anything, and I mean he is a superb player, and I feel like every time someone says something bad about him, an angel loses their wings. That's how I feel. Because I love him so much. I just want to protect him at all costs. He's just such a sweetheart as well. But no, I'll never be mean to Son. I'll always want to keep him.
Ricky, let's come to you on Heung-min Son, because there was a chance in the second half that we'll come to. And rather than shooting himself, which would have actually been the better choice, he actually passed it to Basuma, that we talked about in a minute. But what do you make of Son's performance today? Because he is a player that really does seem to get it in the neck when we don't perform very well as a team. And, our results are poor. It always seems to be Son that does get it in the neck more than others.
Yeah, I think there's loads of different factors with Sonny. And firstly, I agree with everything that Holly just said there about
everything.
Sonny. Everything, yeah. The angels and the wings and everything that she said about Sonny, I'm with her, because I love him too.
We need to put some respect on that man's name. Seriously,
absolutely.
I think I need to be drinking while we do these podcasts to be on par with you two.
I've told you this for years, but anyway, right?
I'm sober. In fact, I was thinking about making myself a hot chocolate in a minute, or maybe even a Horlicks or Ovaltine.
Wow.
So, but you know, that's how much I've already been sent to sleep today. So I may as well continue with that. Just say, someone just said in the comments that my laugh's hysterical. I promise you guys, I'm 100% sober right now. Maybe I've been driven to hysteria.
Sorry about that. We're trying to get shorter answers from Ricky to stop you going to sleep.
Sorry. It's tough.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
No, but you know me. Like, so I think with Sonny, there's loads of different factors with him. You know, I think, you know, he's loyalty, and he is Tottenham. He loves us to bits. I think he really does bleed blue and white. You know, if you was to cut him. He loves us to bits. He takes the responsibility on his shoulders. I've said this a couple of times, but I remember when Harry Kane wanted to leave, you know, because there are a bunch of fans that I remember saying, take the money. And there's some fans that were like, how could we let him leave? But when he wanted to leave, when it was that Man City potential transfer, and Sonny potentially could be losing his strike partner and assist king that set him up for so many goals, he signed a new deal. And he said in that first game under Nuno, give the responsibility to me, I'll take it. And he took it on his shoulders. Do you know what I mean? And I believe that he scored in that game as well. You know, when Saudi came in for Sonny, he said, absolutely not. I've got unfinished business in the Premier League and with Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? You know, he even through this transition, the only guy that is around that started this with him is Ben Davies. And, you know, he's seen all of the rest of them go. Some of them go on to win other things, and some of them retire and go wherever they're going. But he's stuck around, and he's here to lead us through to the next thing. And not only does he take the responsibility for his country, but he takes responsibility for us. So I think that over these 2.5 months, where maybe he should have been rested, maybe he should have come on at 60, maybe he shouldn't have started certain games, or, you know, maybe he could have come off in certain games. We haven't been afforded that luxury. And Sonny is also our world-class player. You know, is the one that's left. So when we don't have a good game, that's why it's put on him. You know, because he's our last world-class player that is in that side. So when the ball drops to him, you know, we all expect more. And especially this season, we've all expected more from him. But again, run into the ground a bit. But today you could see that was a player that was hurt by that Liverpool result the other day. That was hurt that he didn't kind of be the captain that we all wanted him to be the other night. And that refused, you know, that should have scored the first opportunity that he had. But the second opportunity, which was brought up and highlighted by Shearer in commentary, was when he passed it to Basuma. And look, I tried to look at it from an objective point of view, kind of go, well, why did he pass it? Yes, there was a lot of Aston Villa defenders around him, but that's Sonny, man. Like Sonny, the fact, you know, Sonny would find an angle. Sonny would shoot from that position. So it comes down to confidence now as well. And like I said about negative momentum, we're in a negative momentum right now where there's nothing that we can do right. We've tried different systems. We've tried different personnel, the ones that we've got. That's why substitutions happen at halftime, you know, on a regularity now. Because there's so many things that are wrong right now. Nothing's going right. And Sonny's the one that takes it on his shoulders because now he has the armband and now he's our captain. So, and you see him feel it. You see him feel the pain of it. So it's tough, but, and I feel for Sonny. But again, it goes down to having a depth of squad and a depth of quality of squad that can come in and rotate and help this team. But these players that are on there are just being run into the ground and have almost got nothing left right now.
Ricky, after 28 minutes, Danso ball over the top to Heung-min Son. It was overhit. Talking about Kevin Danso, what have you made of him in a Spurs shirt? Because, of course, making his debut on Thursday, coming into this game as well, being a defender, he's had a pretty hard start to life at Tottenham, hasn't he? Conceding 6 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, I think it's really tough to judge him right now, positive or negatively. I think it's really tough to judge him right now. Very few training sessions with the team. It has come in and tried to do his best. There's some things that you can see. You can see he's big. You can see he's strong. You can see he's got a bit of pace. You can see he's not afraid of a sliding tackle or to stand up. But I think he's also trying to find his way in this defense and find out the way that we defend as a team. And that's going to take a little bit of time. So I think give him time, give him space, and maybe we will see the best of him. But I can't really judge him right now. The first game against Liverpool, I felt that he was a bit nervy. Today, I felt he was a bit better. But a lot of passes were overhit or inaccurate that he put forward. He did clear the lines a lot. There are some positives, there are some negatives there, but I can't really say any or highlight any because he's just come in to fill a gap right now, and it's tough on him. He hasn't had a week's training. So maybe after a week's training and against Man United, I'll be able to have a better judgment of him. But it's tough. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's terrible. I think he's done okay, and I think he's done, the best that he could do so far. But I can't really judge him until we see him a little bit more, and until he's kind of embedded in the system.
Craig, let's come to you. I should have mentioned the starting 11 here: Kinski, Porro, Danso, Gray, Spence, Bergvall, Bentancur, Moore, Kulusevski, Tel, and Heung-min Son. Subs today: Ajayi, Austin, Basuma, Casanova, Davis, Forster, Hardy, Reguilon, and Sarr. Craig, in the 29th minute, Bailey had a shot on goal. Kinski saved. From the rebound, Ramsey hit the side netting. It's fair to say, isn't it, that Kinski did actually keep us in the game, although he was faulted for the first goal. He made a couple of great saves today.
Yeah, as I said earlier, he did exactly that. Keep us in the game. He was pretty solid apart from that, to be fair. It was just that one lapse in that first minute, to be honest. He's done okay, like I say, but I think Vicario will probably be coming straight back in. And you could argue that the first goal, he shouldn't have even been allowed to. The ball shouldn't have even been allowed to get to him. But our midfield, God, I'll come back to it. I don't know where our midfield was. We were just all over the place. It was the first minute, and they didn't start. It goes back to that Gary Neville quote, this is Tottenham, never ready. We just didn't look ready. We didn't look ready at all today at any point of the game, to be honest with you. It's just another poor performance all round. Better in the second half. First half, just dreadful again. It's I get what Angie's saying, right, that these players are knackered. They've been playing almost the same, the likes of Archie Gray, they've been playing every 3-4 days since beginning of December. I get that, I do, but it's just so upsetting, so depressing, so frustrating that within a week, we're out of 2 cups. That's the bottom line. It's we just weren't good enough.
Craig, in the 31st minute, Lucas Bergvall had a shot from 20 yards, went over the bar. What have you made of Lucas Bergvall in a Spurs shirt this season, particularly today?
I don't think he had his best game today, but I think on the whole, he's actually really come on since he joined. Probably been thrown in a lot quicker than they wanted to throw him in, but needs must. There's been certain games when he's come on and actually run the midfield and really been a live wire and running around everywhere, putting in tackles. He's got a pass in him. We know he's got a finish in him as well. And you've got to remember, he's only 18, 19, Lucas Bergvall, so he's going to grow. He really is going to be an important player for Tottenham. And I was actually surprised how well he's done. I really am, because usually players come in from a let's face it, a lot lower league in Sweden. You know, it could take him at least a season to settle in, but he's kind of been thrown in at the deep end to some degree. And you can see that there's a comment there. Bergvall plays with heart. He does. You can see it. He's one of the better performers this season. And funny enough, the two Swedes have been our probably best performers this season, Bergvall and Kulusevski.
In the 32nd minute, Morgan Rogers shot from 25 yards, Kinski saved, and then Mallon over the bar with the rebound. 5 minutes from the break, Pedro Porro passed to Son, Martinez out to clear, and then in stoppage time, Mallon hitting the side netting, and then Spence had a shot on target just before the break. This was the reaction at half-time from the Spurs away end, with Villa going in 1-0. Craig, a lot of boos at half-time. Is it right to boo your team?
Oh, that's a question. I've always said I think it's wrong to boo, and like this treatment Davinson Sanchez got, that's individual. I think there's a massive difference between individually booing a player than booing your team. If you don't like what you're being served up week after week, I just think the Spurs fans have just had enough, especially the fans like yourself that go all over the country, all over the world watching them, and it's constant. You're getting served up crap time and time again. I'm not quite sure what else, how they're supposed to vent their frustration. If you're booing during, I think there's a difference between booing during a game and actually booing at half-time or full-time as well. I think there is a difference. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest, because I totally get the frustration. I've never done it when I've been in the ground. I've never booed my team, but I kind of get. I know this is me sidestepping the question a bit, but I get why fans do it. But as I say, I come back to it. Booing an individual player is completely wrong. But I get why fans will boo at half-time and full-time if they're not happy with the performance. I'm not sure what else they're supposed to do.
Holly, I feel like, particularly under Ange Postecoglou, we've seen and heard a lot of boos in a number of games. Is it right for the fans to boo when they don't see, the performance that they expect?
Well, I sort of touched on this earlier. I just think, I don't know. I do think booing's wrong, but then also in the same breath, I've just come on here to moan and bitch as well. So really, what's the difference? If you really think about it, I don't want to be a massive hypocrite. But I think I hate it when the players get booed, and I just don't. I can't imagine how that must feel. But again, yeah, actually, you've really kind of, Craig, you've just made me think then, actually, how else are they supposed to show their frustration, I suppose. But also, there have been times where I've watched games and there's been absolutely zero atmosphere in terms of encouraging the players to do better. So at the same time, I think that the booing's not going to contribute to that either. It's not, what improvement could that possibly, if they're already lacking in confidence, is that going to help? Then also you could argue it would give them a bit of a kick up the arse. So I know I'm being very diplomatic there, but I've never done it myself. And like I mentioned earlier on, if you are someone that travels everywhere following the club and you're seeing this week in, week out, then you're bound to completely feel exhausted by it. Or if this is how I feel being sat at home in my armchair, how much that you'll feel being out there in the freezing cold all the time, like watching it and thinking, here we go again, I've travelled all this way and this is what we get. So again, I've danced around that massively, but bottom line, I don't agree with it. I'll make my point finally after waffling. I was spending too much time around you, Ricky.
Yeah, we certainly don't do yes or no's on this podcast.
No, we don't.
Holly, how are you feeling at that half-time break? Were you thinking that Spurs were going to come out, fighting on all cylinders and come out and win this game? Were you confident, or were you thinking that we were going to be going out the FA Cup?
I wouldn't say I felt confident. I definitely didn't. I mean, we have a history of having a bit of a second half comeback. So I always feel like I have that in the back of my mind. But I just felt like the whole atmosphere was off today. There was just no confidence, no fight at all. And I think if we were going to literally turn it around from being that low in confidence and that much of a bad performance, we needed a bit of a miracle. I don't know. I think as well, just thinking ahead to, we just got kicked out of the Carabao Cup and stuff. I just, in my head, I thought this is going to be, here we go again. This is going to be another situation where we're out of another major competition. I kind of had that feeling really in my gut. I did hope that things would come out and turn around, and they proved me wrong, actually. Because as I say, there's plenty of times where we've come out second half and we've pulled an absolute blinder and turned things around completely. But realistically, I just couldn't see that happening today.
Ricky, let's come to you. On 49 minutes, Heung-min Son had a shot blocked, went out for a corner. A couple of minutes later, Mathys Tel put in a great cross, which Aston Villa cleared. What have you made of Mathys Tel in a Spurs shirt so far, Ricky? Of course, he came on a sub for Richarlison, who went off injured at Anfield on Thursday, started today's game, of course, got our goal today that we'll talk about shortly. But what have you made of him in a Spurs shirt so far?
I think, again, it's the same with Danzo, bro. We haven't really had much to see from him, and he hasn't been able to embed in the system as well as Danzo as well, because of training sessions, etc. I think against Liverpool, we didn't. Again, the midfield was non-existent, and we couldn't get the ball up to him to see anything really when he did come on. So it's really tough for him in that game. And then today he started on the left, and I think he was figuring it out today. He was out on the left, and I think he got pushed off the ball a couple of times. And when he tried to dribble and try to take it round, he wasn't having that much success. He did get some, but he wasn't having as much as what he would have liked. He looks lively. He looks determined. He looks like he's up for the fight, to tell you the truth. Looking at his body language and looking at his way, especially against Liverpool, he was trying to G up the fans. And then today, even when he scored, he put up his hand like this. And it wasn't to show you his bandage. It was to say, we've still got 5 minutes. We've still got an opportunity. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing. You never know. And I love that attitude. I love what he's been able to bring. I think that he's brought a freshness. But I just don't think we've been able to see the best of him yet, because we haven't been able to really get the ball up to him. I felt that he was so much like more effective in the centre forward role today. I think that we should have swapped him and Sonny a lot earlier. I understand why Ange would have done that. Tel being the fresher legged, the younger man, to be able to go up and down on the left hand side. The more workload that was on the younger player there, and I think that's why he switched Sonny to the middle. Also, his experience and stuff like that, Sonny. But after seeing that it wasn't really working, I would have expected that shift a little bit earlier. But I think that there is a real, genuine, great player in Tel. I think it's going to take a little while for us to see it, because we haven't got the team to provide the passes or the momentum for him to kind of latch onto. But you can see by the finish that he had, it's instinctual, and he was hungry to score. Those things I like to see, and fingers crossed that we get some help back and we get some players back that we can start to build something and see his best attributes. But you know what? On the booing, I apologize. On the booing, yeah, I know. I'm still speaking. On the booing, I think that it's every fan's right to boo. right? I think it's every fan's right to boo, especially when you go away from home and stuff like that. If you see a performance that you don't like at halftime, at full time, I think it's a fan's way of vocally letting the players know that it wasn't good enough. And today's first half was far beyond good enough. It's the first time that I've kind of seen the players feel sorry for themselves a little bit, play with fear, play with still a hangover off of Liverpool and going out. I think their hearts were broken against Liverpool. I think that they were dreaming of a final at Wembley, and the way that we got dismantled against a perfect Liverpool, I think that really broke them, and I think that's what we saw in that first 20 minutes stroke first half from the players. And for the away crowd to boo, I think it's their right to do that, to let them know that it wasn't good enough. Individual players, again, I'm with you. I don't agree with that one, and I haven't booed myself. I'm not that guy. I love my team too much. I just shake my head in disappointment normally. But
Ricky, can I ask you from a performer's perspective? Because if you were performing on stage and someone booed you off, how would you feel? Because it's interesting, because I posted a video earlier after the game of the players, after the match, walking off the pitch, coming over to the away end, etc. And some of the players didn't come over to the away end, which is a shame. As a performer, how would you feel if that was aimed at you? Because some of those players must feel pretty angry and upset with that, with the booing from the fans. Although I do understand it, I'm not a person who boos my team, never have done. But I understand why people do it.
It in a performer context, it's a lot different to the footballers. For instance, if the whole audience were booing myself off of stage, then I would be like, what did I do wrong? I can't believe it. And then my thing would be embarrassment. It would be shame. And then it would be, what can I do to fix this? My first initial point would be like, okay, cool, I'm going to go out to fix this. But if I was a comedian, so I grew up like I done street dance, and I used to host as well, present shows as well. But when I was younger, there was a comedy show where if you went on as a comedian, you could get booed off, and that was part of the remit, and that was part of the kind of acceptance of whether you're doing well or not. It wasn't an offensive boo. It was a judgmental boo, which I don't know if it's better or not. But in the context of an actor's mind, right? So if I was booed off, that means something totally different. That means that I have failed tremendously, or I have messed up so bad that I've destroyed this show. That's massive. That's all on the individual. It ain't a team sport at that point. It's all on the individual. And I'm like, I've got to reassess and figure out what I need to do to make that better. If I was a comedian in that type of show where booing is almost a way of knowing whether you're doing well or not, then you've got to take that, and you've got to kind of go, okay, cool. Well, that joke didn't work. That approach didn't work. And again, you've got to go and reassess. But the players are going to emotionally feel it. They're going to emotionally feel it. And I think that they are emotionally feeling it. I think they're mentally feeling it, because this has been repeated for so long.
Yeah.
It's a tough position that we're in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. After 54 minutes, Pedro Porro to Heung-min Son, who laid it off for Basuma, and the shot was blocked. This is exactly the incident I was talking about earlier. Craig, let's come to you on this. Son, this is not the Son that we're used to seeing. Either he would have hit it first time, or he'd certainly have had the shot after taking a touch. And he laid it off to Basuma. Why?
Yeah, it was really weird for me. I don't quite get why he did it. Look, it just stinks for me for a man that's totally bereft of confidence, if I'm honest. It's so sad to see, but I just think you know, Sonny's a human being, right? And he's going to feel the weight of this on his shoulders and everything. And we know Sonny from the past. He would have just took that shot. He would have just took that shot and he would have hit the back of the net. But Sonny's feeling it. Sonny is really feeling it. He's feeling the weight of these losses on his shoulders, and he's probably like the rest of us. He's probably sitting there thinking, "Why the hell? What the hell have we got to do? What's going wrong?" They're all going to be asking themselves the same question. He is captain. He's going to be taking that responsibility and feel it twice as much as everybody else. And you can see it is bleeding into his play. I think Sonny was probably actually better without the burden of being captain. Actually, I think he plays with a lot more freedom. I think he feels this pressure of being captain so much, and it means so much to him. Sonny loves the club. Don't let anybody tell you that Sonny don't care or anything. I think he cares more than anybody else at Spurs actually about Tottenham. He loves his club. He had opportunities to leave in the past, I'm sure, but he loves the club, and he more than anybody will want us to do well. I just think he's feeling it a lot more than everybody else right now.
With that criticism about Son being captain, who else could or should be the captain for you, Craig? Like in that starting 11 today, who should be captain? And surely, you know, after a performance like that today and the result, anyone who's going to be the captain is going to get the criticism then, yeah?
Yeah, they do. And to be a captain, you've got to be a special person. You've got to be a strong person. I'm not saying Sonny isn't strong, but you just need you need that right mentality. You do, and like Højbjerg, I think would have made a perfect captain for us. I do. I really genuinely think that. Who could be captain? I don't know. You could argue Bentancur, senior professional, but I'm just thinking about the people that are on the pitch at the moment. Who else? I mean, I don't think there's anybody to be honest. I'm just thinking about the people that are out there that started the game. Well, not my choice. I would say Kulusevski, actually, probably thinking about it. You know, I think he's captain of Sweden, is he now? So he could probably do it. And he's been our best player all season. So to be fair, I'll probably give it to him and give him a go.
Craig, let's stay with you. 55 minutes in, Bergvall crossed into the box, which was cleared. A minute later, Kulusevski had a shot and Martinez saved. A couple of minutes later, a good Villa break. Ramsey shot, saved by Kinski again. And then in the 64th minute, Rodgers put in Aston Villa 2-1 up. What did you make of this goal?
Yeah, again, desperate defending. Obviously, Porro just clearing it. I mean, if he hadn't got a foot to it, then it would have just been a tap in at the far post anyway. But yeah, we're all over the shop by this. For me, that was that kind of killed it. I didn't see us coming back from that. Obviously, got one back at the end, but you know, it's too little, too late, really. Nothing more than I expected, to be honest. At that point, you could kind of see the way the game was going. It just wasn't our day again. Like you could see the players, they were like, they just knew what was going to be coming. It's such a shame. Such a shame.
I've written down in my notes here, so much pressure from Aston Villa. And in that final third, the amount of chances that they created throughout the whole game, I feel like we got let off lightly with them only scoring twice. Kinski, of course, made another save in the 76th minute. And then a couple of minutes later, Holly, let's come to you on this. Kevin Danso with a big miss over the bar from a Pedro Porro cross. What did you make of this opportunity, and what did you make of the miss from Kevin Danso? I know he's not in the team to be scoring goals, but surely as a professional footballer, you've got to be hitting the target from there.
Absolutely. Of course, it's disappointing, isn't it? And you sort of throw your head in your hands at that moment, because I think we all expect better, don't we? And I've said this multiple times so far. There were so many missed opportunities. It was all just really disappointing. I mean, I still think they were going to win. And I mean, I don't know, Chris. I'm sorry, I'm just not full of the joys of spring today. But I do think that it's going to be as depressing this weekend as well.
We'll come on to that in a second. Holly, Let me ask you about the captain, Heung-min Son, because we've already spoken about the criticism of Son. If Son wasn't the Spurs captain, who should it be? Because I feel like this subject comes up a lot, and I feel like week by week, particularly when we have a poor result or a poor performance, Heung-min Son, as I keep saying, really does get it in the neck.
Well, as you were discussing that just now, Craig, my mind did go to Mathys, but I don't know if he's been there long enough. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I mean, that he would be one of my choices. I do agree with Kulusevski, and obviously he's been brilliant for us this season. And yeah, I'd probably go Mathys. You know, I might actually. You know, I'm going to back myself. Yeah, Mathys.
I think it was the players on the pitch. I think was that what you asked me? I mean, I personally don't think Maddison is captain material at the moment for Tottenham, even though he's a vice captain. I'm not sure. I personally think he's fallen out with Ange, but that's just my opinion.
Well, when we get all of our players back, fit and raring to go, Romero, Vicario, Maddison, they're all meant to be vice captains and part of the leadership group. Ricky, who would you like? If you could just give me a one-word answer on this. Please.
What are you doing?
I notice you're on the water now, by the way.
Oh, goodness. No, do you know what? Do you know what? For me, the one that's shown captain material has been Archie Gray. You know, a guy that's been put in 27 different positions and has tried to stand up with his best ability. Has tried to encourage the crowd, the team. When everybody's fit and available, I really don't know, mate. I really don't know. It would have to be that monster number 6 that we're all trying to will into existence, you know?
Yeah.
But it depends what you need and what you want from a captain.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a future captain without any question or doubt. Ricky, in the 86th minute, Pedro Porro had a shot Martinez saved, and then late on in the game, of course, Tel scored our only goal of the game. What did you make of
it? Great ball by Kulusevski. I was, you know, part of me was really happy that they scored at that point, but another part of me was frustrated that it took that long. You know, you know, we did see a response in the second half. We did see them being shaken up a little bit, and we did see some effort, but it was almost all too little, too late. I think the boys just, I don't know, man. I think they just almost ran out of charge. Like a phone runs out of charge, I think that they kind of just ran out of charge for a little bit. And I think that this 2.5 months, 3 months has taken its toll. And I think that semi-final has meant more than what we're giving credit to right now. I think that them as a collective and those players that were fighting for something, you know, I think that it's hit them harder than what we would have hoped. We all hope as fans that they can just shake it off and go again. Look, you've got another opportunity. Go again. Show us your best. Go again. And yes, that is the mentality. Absolutely. But I just think that it hit them. It hit them really, really hard. I mean, look at the movement. Look at the movement within that first half. There was none. People were very static. You know, look at you look at some of our best performers like Archie Gray, like, you know, Jed Spence and stuff like that. They couldn't progress the ball in the first half. Second half, they came out with, never going to happen, John. Second half, in the way that they moved the ball forward, you know, they had a bit about them. There was more movement. There was more energy. There was a bit of let's go, which says to me that the manager slapped them in the second half or gave them a rollicking, because they came out with something. And I don't believe, I know that people would say that the first half, you know, there's a lot of blame that has to go to the manager. I just don't believe that he would send them out there to perform like that. From the evidence that we have, from the team talks that he's had, you know, in the past before Tottenham, and even in pre-season, that one kind of locker room camera shot that we got of him in pre-season. I can't remember who it was against, but he was speaking about the next action. We still had that trait within us where an action would get to us so much that it would stop us thinking about the next action. And that's where we're at right now. I think that this culmination of a tsunami of really bad luck, injuries, suspensions, viruses, form, belief, energy, I think it's really hit us. And these are the effects of that. It's going to take a kind of ice bath, or I don't know what, mate, or something to kind of blow up from the players' point of view to shake these players back into gear.
Grant writes here, what positives today can we take into the Manchester United game? The only one I can take is that it is against Manchester United. Now, let's go on to the Man United game. And before we do, let me just say, the FA Cup 5th round draw, if you are interested in it, will take place tomorrow on BBC One. I've got to say this, Ricky, because it's information for people.
Who? For who? Information? It's not for us.
7:10 Monday evening, if you're interested. But I won't be interested because as soon as we're out of cup competitions, that's it. It's over. That's it. Right, Manchester United up next Sunday, 16th of Feb, 4:30 p.m. kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is 14th v 13th. You wouldn't be thinking that, a fixture like this, Spurs Man United, 14th v 13th. It is literally inconsistency meets inconsistency. Spurs have played 24 games this season, 27 points. Manchester United have played 24. They are 2 points ahead of us with 29 points. Spurs could go as high as 12th with a win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium next Sunday. Ricky, let's start with you talking about the Man United game because, as I mentioned, the league table there, which is pretty depressing for Spurs fans and Manchester United fans right now. Manchester United going into this game, their last 6 results, 4 wins, 2 defeats in all competitions. What have you made of Manchester United, and how do you think this game is going to go next Sunday?
On Man United, they've been in disarray ever since Alex Ferguson left, and I think that they've been trying to chase glory with money for a long time, and it really hasn't worked with them. They've tried different managers, tried different systems. The one thing they haven't done is stuck with anybody and try and go through the hard times, which we're doing right now. The one thing that they haven't done is strip away all of the nastiness and go down to absolute ground level to rebuild, which we're doing right now. They have a lot of quality. They've got a new manager. They will want to win. But I think that after a really disappointing week, that we will see the character of our players again. We will see them stand up again. And I think that we'll go out there and get a positive result. I'm a disillusional fan when it comes down to results and predicting results. As you know, will never back my team to lose. Can't do it, won't do it. Don't care what the form table says. But I think that we're in a place where we can show that we're on this rebuild, show that we are on a different plane and that we are going in some type of direction. Where Man United, they go around in circles too, but they go around in circles and they don't know what position, they don't know what direction that they want to go in. Someone like Brighton, who lose their manager and continue to get a similar principled manager to take them on, to take them forward, Man United haven't done. They keep going left, right, and centre and seeing what sticks. So with that confusion and with that mishmash of squad, I think that we will turn up and we'll show a better display of ourselves and we'll get a positive result.
Score prediction, Rick?
I wanted to swear then. 2-1 Tottenham.
Holly, what are you thinking?
That's what I was going to say.
Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I know what's got into me, Chris. I'm a woman of few words today, and I mean, people will still probably say in the comments that I've been waffling, but trust me, this is as quiet as I'm ever going to be, I think. Normally I'll waffle way more than that. But yeah, I was actually, as you were speaking, and I knew it would come to me at some point, I was going to say 2-1. I know, as I say, I've been negative, but like Ricky says, I'll always back in a score prediction. I'll always back Spurs to win, so I'll stick with that.
Craig, how are you feeling ahead of the Man United game on Sunday?
Oh, it's a basket case against a basket case, isn't it? This could go either way. To be honest, it's probably one of the most perfect teams we could play at the moment. I think it could be a draw, actually, 2-2, something like that. That's what I'll go for.
2-2.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
what about you, Chris?
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows with this club? It could be 1-0. It could be 5-0. It could be 5-4. It could be 3-3. I don't know.
Chris, I don't know if you've seen my message. I managed to upload the press conference if everybody wants to sit for it. Not the press conference, the after-match interview with Ange. So if you want to play it.
I'll put it out separately, Craig. I tell you, I think Holly wants to go to bed. Ricky wants another drink, and you're rattling your drawers again. So
I was trying. You want to go home? I get that. Yeah.
I don't want to go home. Exactly.
You want to go home?
Yeah. Ricky, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, we can talk about a positive result on Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you? What you're up to at the moment? Any more films coming out?
You guys know where you can find me on Instagram at official Ricky Norwood, on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Ricky J Norwood. Yes, up to loads. Audition on Tuesday, so we'll see how that goes. Loads of things, but until it's time to talk, I'll let you know. The Christmas film that I just filmed over Christmas, that'll be out this year, has just released some pics, so I'll put that out on my Instagram, and I'll find out what platform that they're going to be releasing on soon as well. So yeah, when there's something to say, I'll let you know. But apart from that, you'll know where you can find me. You'll find me on here with these beautiful people at some point after a game. If I can handle it.
I know, it's hard. It's hard. I tell you what, we recorded the podcast after Thursday's game, and I think it was about 1 hour and 13. And I don't know how long. I don't know how it was that long, because I couldn't even get my words out. I didn't even know what to say after Thursday's result, and it's tough. It's tough sometimes recording these podcasts, particularly straight after the matches, especially when I've just walked out the stadium, because the emotions are running high. Yeah, you never know what we're going to say. But thank you so much, Ricky. Craig, thank you so much as always. Where can people find you?
No worries. That Dearman 9 on X. If you want to give me a follow, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks everybody tuning in for another loss. Sorry about that. We can't control how the football team performs. Wish we could, but you never know. One day.
And Holly, it's been great having you back. Obviously, we'll try and get you back in the very near future again, and hopefully talk about a win. But where can people find you and what you're up to at the moment?
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Chris. It's been lovely. I'll try and be in a better mood next time. Hopefully it's because we'll be talking about a better result and better situation that we find ourselves in. I'm on X as Holly M. Clemens. You can find me on there. I have actually got something coming out soon, which is really exciting, a new BBC podcast that I've produced over the last 6 months. So that'll be out next month. It's football related. Yeah, once it's out, I hope you'll all give it a listen.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck with that, Holly. Thank you so much. Craig, Ricky, Holly, thank you so much for your time, particularly talking about another defeat. I always say if I was recording on someone else's podcast, I probably wouldn't turn up. So I'm so grateful for the three of you turning up and talking about this defeat today. Thank you so much to everyone in the comments. Some top comments today. I couldn't read some of them out, but they were very funny. So I was laughing throughout the podcast at some of these comments, but didn't put them on screen, obviously. But thank you so much for all of your input. And remember that all of these podcasts are available on all major audio platforms as well. Have a good week, everyone. Let's hope that we are back to winning ways on Sunday against Manchester United. And we'll see you then. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.